The San Francisco 49ers defeated the Rams again in overtime, 27-24. They punched their ticket. They snuck into the postseason, grabbing the last wild card spot. Now, the way that the seedings shaked out, they ended up being the 6th seed as opposed to the 7th seed. But it's interesting because for me, and the reason why I've been thinking about a lot of these movies is a lot of the Marvel movies have been coming out recently. You're seeing new editions of Spider-Man, and we've seen renditions of Batman, new versions of it. But Superman, to me, is one of the greatest comics ever created. But it's not for the reasons why you always might think. One of the reasons why Superman and that whole story is captivating for people and is commemorable is because while at times it seems like Superman is so far removed from humanity, super powers, super strength, he can fly. But despite that, he shows signs of mortality. He shows signs of being a human. He can't handle kryptonite. That is his fatal flaw. That is his Achilles heel. And whenever you see a team that appears really dominant be exposed to their kryptonite, to their flaw, it renders them more human. And the LA Rams had been a great team all year. And their kryptonite is the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers have simply had their number really over the last 5 years, since the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan rivalry as head coaches in the NFC West has begun. Kyle Shanahan is 7-3 against Sean McVay. 2 of those losses came when Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't playing. In fact, when Jimmy Garoppolo plays against the Rams, and again, the 49ers have beaten the Rams now 6 straight times. They're 7-0 when they have a healthy roster with Jimmy Garoppolo. And again, for whatever reason, the Rams just can't beat this team. And a lot of times it has to do with matchups. And Kyle Shanahan just finds a way to out-execute Sean McVay in those games. I don't know if it's the familiarity factor, the fact that they both were on the same. They were both offensive assistants with the Washington. At the time, they were the Redskins, now the Washington football team, several years ago. But they just have their number. And when you look at this San Francisco 49ers team, they do a great job of just mucking up the game. That's something they do, is just grinding their way with their run game. They can run on anyone. And eventually just kind of wore down the Rams, much like it has worn down several other teams in the NFL that they've played. They barely lost to the Titans. They barely lost to the Green Bay Packers. Their record isn't entirely indicative of where this team is at, mainly because they haven't been healthy for large stretches. And yet, forcing another pick on Matthew Stafford, who, by the way, again, the game wasn't necessarily determined by that one play, but how many kind of costly turnovers is he going to commit down the stretch at home, surprisingly? It's kind of beyond me. But the thing about the 49ers is, I think, to me, they got the most versatile player in the NFL, and his name is Deebo Samuel. This guy is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. There's nothing he can't do. He's the most versatile player. You can line him up on the outside. You can line him up in the backfield. He can take carries. He can take handoffs for automatic first downs. The dude is spectacular. He's absolutely sensational. He hasn't been garnering any MVP consideration. He still won't. But when you really look at how the 49ers have been able to operate and execute effectively, it's because of this guy. It's simply because of this guy. Deebo Samuel, again, another fantastic game. And again, from a Rams perspective, being from LA, I was just kind of disgusted by the outcome because the Rams were up 17-0 at one point, 17-3 at the end of the first half, and they allowed the 49ers to storm back. And what's more disappointing is the fact that the defense conceded so many points down the stretch. They allowed Jimmy Garoppolo to engineer a game-tying drive. They had their opportunity, up by a touchdown with 1:30 remaining and no timeouts for the 49ers. And this is what is a great segue to Jimmy Garoppolo. And I want to give Jimmy Garoppolo credit. I've never been someone who has tried to heap all the blame onto Jimmy Garoppolo. I never claimed he was an elite quarterback. But the one thing I've always said, and the one thing that he has proven year in and year out, is that he is a winning quarterback. The guy simply finds ways to win. You look at his career as a starter. He's 45-18 for his career as a starter. That's a 71.5 win percentage. With the 49ers, he's 31-15, 67% win percentage. So he manages to stay composed, and especially in the last 1:30 and even overtime, he was delivering on clutch third down passes and completions. He stayed poised in the pocket. He's able to get situated and organized quickly. He's able to get his teammates quickly. And if you really are fair about him and Kyle Shanahan, as great of a coach as he is, and he obviously allows Jimmy Garoppolo in many respects to flourish under his system. There's no question about that. He's a great play caller. But Kyle Shanahan hasn't sustained any success without Jimmy Garoppolo. You can make an argument that the linchpin behind Kyle Shanahan's success is Jimmy G. 88-yard drive, 1:30 to go. Scores a touchdown in 60 seconds with no timeouts. Just marches down the field. He was great. And then you look at this matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, and here's the interesting thing. For the 49ers, they've been a better road team than they've been a home team this year. Surprising. They lost like their first 3 or 4 home games of the season at Levi Stadium. But on the road, this team is battle-tested. They're proven. They can win. And the big matchup to look for, and this is why I think a lot of people, including myself, would probably give the edge to the 49ers, is the fact that they run the ball so effectively. And the Dallas Cowboys, if you look at their team, they're just a middle-of-the-pack defensive team. They do not defend the run that well. Overall, their defense is a little bit above average. The stats suggest it. They're obviously a very opportunistic defense. They've got some elite pass rushers that can be disruptors up front. But when all the other team is going to be doing is running the ball down your throat and you have a difficult time stopping that, the advantage is going to go to the team that can run the football, because that's something that translates no matter where you go. No matter where you go. So that's going to be a tremendous